You're listening to the really useful podcast, the tech podcast for technophobes from makeuseof.com. My name is Christian Corley, and in this week's really useful podcast, we're going to be looking at dashcams. What is a dashcam? Do you need one? Can you use dashcams on bikes as well as on cars? And are they really expensive? Are they worth the outlay? And can they help save you money on your vehicle insurance? These are all questions that we will be addressing in this week's podcast. Now, I've been using a dashcam or several dashcams over the course of the past 5 years. In that time, they have developed incredibly. The technology has gotten more impressive with improved recording resolution. The price of the technology has also come down, which has allowed dashcam manufacturers to include, and this might seem a bit crazy, more cameras in the vehicle. So whereas maybe 5 years ago, £100 might, or $100 even, might have got you a front-facing camera, that same amount now can get you a camera that films the front of your vehicle, what you see while you're driving, the back of your vehicle, what's happening behind you whilst you're driving, and even the interior. You can, in some cases, get 3 cameras for the price of one and film the interior, which is useful to gauge reactions during accidents, or if you are involved in transportation, maybe you're an Uber driver or a standard taxi driver, that interior camera is really useful for recording events whilst collecting fares. Now, while I've been using the dashcam or a series of dashcams extensively over the years, I know a lot of people don't. For example, I had a spare dashcam after upgrading, and I thought I could give one to my sister, so gave her a ring. Never used a dashcam, and given that she lives in one of the biggest cities on the planet, that completely blew my mind. Dashcams these days have built-in batteries and motion sensors, so they can record events outside the car while the car is not moving, while there's no power, while the vehicle is parked. So, them vandalism, accidents on the streets, they can be recorded when the motion sensor kicks in and initiates recording. So to not have a dashcam, to me, that seems a strange thing to avoid doing in this day and age. But that's just one example. In truth, there are many reasons why you should consider installing a dashcam. To start with, it will give you first-hand evidence of an accident. If you're in an accident and the other parties blame you, if you have a dashcam, you can prove where the real fault lies. You have first-hand evidence of the accident. It may even exonerate you in litigation and hold the negligent party accountable and save you money in what turned out to be a frivolous lawsuit. Now, dashcams can also help reckless drivers behave better. Now, say someone borrows your car and you don't really trust them. The presence of a dashcam can encourage them to behave better behind the wheel and adhere to the rules of the road. Now, dashcam can also help you evade wrongfully issued tickets. If the police have issued a ticket without proper cause, you may be able to disprove liability by using video footage from the dashcam. Some dashcams also record speed. With GPS, they will record exactly where you are. So you have a little tranche of evidence there that you can use to defend yourself in such a situation. Now, of course, as already mentioned, break-ins and vandalism can also be thwarted with a dashcam. Although most current dashcams record to a microSD card, there are models with internet access that instantly upload footage to the cloud. These can play a pivotal role in preventing car break-ins and vandalism. For a bit of fun, you can even replay your road trips on a dashcam, see where you've been. The recordings are stored on microSD card or in the cloud, as we've discussed. If it's on an SD card, or in either situation really, there is probably a limit on how much you can store. The micro SD card limited by the size of the card, and the cloud by the cloud account limitations. You can use software to review your micro SD card or cloud footage recorded through the Dashcam and relive journeys. That can be quite interesting to spot things that you may have missed. Many a time I've been out with my family and my wife said, look, there's an aeroplane taking off, there's someone with a hang glider, there's some balloons, and I'm focused on the road, and I tend to miss those things. But with the Dashcam, you can relive those moments without having to worry about what's happening on the road. Ultimately, a Dashcam can make you a better driver. You focus more on what's happening. You know that there could be, there is always a witness with you, basically, and it's that Dashcam. You can correct driving mistakes that you can check by reviewing the footage as well. So that's useful because it makes you a better driver, and a better driver means one more safer driver on the road. You can also capture unexpected events with a Dashcam. There is, if you can go on YouTube and you'll see us whenever there's like a meteorite coming through Earth's atmosphere, that often Dashcams have recorded the footage, as well as porch cameras and security cameras of other types. There's almost always Dashcam footage of this happening, and that's just one example. All sorts of events can be captured on Dashcam. There's a load of Dashcam recordings. It's an entire kind of tag niche on YouTube that you can check out now, well after this podcast anyway. And it's fascinating stuff. Some of it's very humdrum and drab, but on the other hand, you'll find things that from an angle that you wouldn't normally have seen. Dashcams can also be a solution for worried parents when their teenagers first pass their test, head out for the first time behind the wheel without parental accompaniment or supervision. A Dashcam is a useful way to monitor what's been taking place, driving, and help the teenager rather than criticize the teenager in developing better road skills of the type that maybe a driving instructor doesn't reach, because they have a job of teaching the student how to drive in very specific, usually around town situations. And of course, driving isn't just about around town. Motorways, cities, countryside, all sorts of environments, and there's slightly different driving required for all of these. So that's 8 great reasons why you need to consider installing a Dashcam. That was written by Jennifer Enham, and that, along with everything else discussed in this really useful podcast on the topic of Dashcams, can be found in the show notes. Over the years, I have used a number of really good Dashcams, and it's probably safe to say that I would recommend almost all of them. There are so many good Dashcams out there, basically, and I'm going to include in the show notes the reviews of all the Dashcams that I've reviewed for makeuseof.com. These are written and video reviews, and take a look at those. Have a look at the quality of the footage and the usability of the devices, how small they are, or in some cases how large they are, and you can use those to make a decision as to whether or not, is a Dashcam a good idea for you. Another thing you can do is check out our guide to the 7 best Dashcams for your car. These are car-based Dashcams primarily. Dashcams are available for bikes. They are slightly different, and as I don't have experience of using a Dashcam on a bike, it's not really something I can talk about in depth. The 7 best Dashcams for your car, as collected by Make Use Of in January 2021, just a couple of months ago. There's the Next Base 622GW, which comes with one camera and has 4K resolution and 140 degrees field of view. There is the Garmin Dashcam 66W. This is again a single Dashcam. It has a 1440p front camera resolution, so a lot lower resolution, and has a field of view of 180 degrees. So that's quite an impressive field of view. The Next Base 522GW again has one camera. This has a 1440p resolution and a 140 degree field of view. And the Blackview DR900S 2CH 2 channel has 2 cameras. It has a 4K front camera resolution and 162 degrees field of view. And there's also the Garmin Dashcam Mini. This has a single camera, 1080p standard full HD resolution and 140 degrees field of view. These are all good dash cams that you should investigate more. These are top of the tree when it comes to choosing a good quality dash cam. And while you may find better, more recent models, these have been released in 2021 and late 2020, so they are all current models from the manufacturers concerned. There's also the Viofo A129 Pro Duo dashcam, which has 4K UHD and FHD dual channel recording, super night vision, and withstands low and high temperatures. More importantly, it has two cameras and a 140 degree field of view. And you may also consider the Garmin Dashcam Tandem. Clues in the name there. Again, two cameras. Front camera has 1440p resolution and 180 degrees field of view. Find out more by checking out that buyer's guide at makeuseof.com. And we'll take a moment from our usual podcast proceedings to just remind you that the Really Useful Podcast can be found pretty much anywhere you find podcasts. So we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts. We're hosted at transistor.fm, so you can find us there as well. We're also on YouTube and, of course, on makeuseof.com. Now, however you subscribe to the Really Useful Podcast and listen to us, it would be amazing if you could take a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That will help us to find new listeners and take our podcast to ever greater heights. You'll find the link to our Apple Podcast page in the show notes. Thanks a lot. What happens if you don't necessarily have the money for a dashcam? Well, one option is a mobile app that can turn your phone or a secondary phone that you don't use, maybe an old phone, turn that into a dashcam. There are dashcam apps for Android that replicate the functionality of a standard dashcam. So all you need is a method for mounting your phone on your car's dashboard, and you can then use the phone's camera as a dashcam. Several free Android apps are available that you can use as a dashcam. Autoboy Dashcam is a free Android dashcam packed with handy features. It's simple to use and allows you to flick between different camera options, exposure levels, capture orientation, and more without having to sort of wade or navigate through complicated menus, which is something that you probably wouldn't want to do whilst in the car anyway. And of course, you shouldn't use your dashcam physically whilst in a car. If anything needs doing, like if it needs activating or whatever, you need to pull over and ensure that these things happen automatically. Another mobile app you can use to turn your Android phone into a dashcam is the AutoGuard Dashcam. This provides several pro tier features for free, such as offering an actual pro subscription, and you'll find settings for maximum video storage size, automatic YouTube and Google account uploading, the option to change the encoding bitrate, manage the white balance for a clearer and correct color balance video, and much more. In the event of an emergency, AutoGuard will protect your recording automatically in the event of a collision, replicating the functionality of a real physical dashcam. AutoGuard can also make an automatic call when it detects an accident. Another option is Drive Recorder. It's a basic but effective approach to Android dashcams and provides a decent range of configuration options, such as maximum video storage size, a limit on recording duration, the GPS update rate, and whether to record your in-car audio. Dashcam Travel is another free Android dashcam app and offers a free option as well as 4 separate paid tiers. It allows for background recording and foreground recording without the overlay, which means you can choose whether to include the dashcam overlay in your recordings. Once included, your dashcam playback will also feature the speed, recording time, date, and a GPS map that updates as you drive. But switching off the overlay changes the video resolution. So without the overlay, the Dashcam Travel uses a standard video resolution to record, such as 1920 by 1080p or 1280 by 720. But when you add the overlay, the recording resolution changes slightly to accommodate the difference here. So it will then become 1920 by 936 or 1280 by 624, which is a bit strange. Well, these slight downgrades to the video resolution don't make much of a difference in the quality of the Dashcam, and you'll still be able to pick out a license plate, say, from a video in the event of an accident. Now, is there a best Dashcam out there? Well, I don't know, because I've used Dashcam apps for Android, and they've always been found slightly wanting, whether there are issues with the battery on the phone, to just not being as compact and user-friendly as an actual Dashcam. On the issue of the battery, mobile phones tend to run out of battery quite quickly when they're old mobile phones and when they have the camera enabled pretty much all the time. I think an Android phone, or an iPhone in some cases as well, is a suitable short-term substitute for a Dashcam. But if you were looking for a long-term replacement for a Dashcam, well, you need a Dashcam. There are other ways of jewelry rigging isn't the best term, but using a Dashcam without actually buying a Dashcam. There are other devices that you can use as a substitute. Mobile phones is one option. The Raspberry Pi, a small computer about the size of a credit card, can be used as a Dashcam with a camera attachment and put in a suitable case. But again, you have power issues with that. The Raspberry Pi is famous for not having an off button, and if it shuts down without warning, then your data can corrupt, and that can happen with an Android device. In-car Dashcams are typically connected to what we used to call the cigarette lighter port, which is now used as a charger for all sorts of mobile devices. In some cases, the Dashcam may be connected directly to the battery via a regulator, but whatever the case, these devices are designed with a small battery inside, as mentioned earlier, and this can manage shutdown and protect the recorded data from corruption that a unannounced shutdown would create. So, yes, there are ways around not having a Dashcam, but if you want to use a Dashcam without having the budget for one, a phone can do the job, a Raspberry Pi can do the job, or any other small computer or small recording device, even an old discarded camera, video camera. But ultimately, if you want a Dashcam, you need to use a Dashcam. So, just say you've listened to this podcast and then you decide, well, actually, yeah, a Dashcam is probably what I need. What do you do next? Well, the first thing you need to do is find the best position for the Dashcam. Dashcams all come with suction cup attachments that will mount the device on your windscreen. But finding the best position for the Dashcam isn't entirely obvious at first glance. You need to consider the size of the windscreen, whether you have a clear view with the Dashcam mounted. You need to consider also the length of the power cable, the distance to the power supply, and the Dashcam lens angle. Finding a good spot for the Dashcam can be tricky. Often the area behind the steering wheel in the front corner of the window is a good spot. Positioning as close as possible to the rear view mirror is also a good option, so you're not distracted by the display on the Dashcam. While this can be turned off, it's not always ideal to do so, especially if you have a passenger who likes to check what's going on with the Dashcam. Over the years, I've used various Dashcams, as noted, and I've found that the best positions for the Dashcam are either behind the rear view mirror, so it points at the road and you can't see the Dashcam, or in the opposite corner of the windscreen. So I'm in the UK, I sit on the right hand side of the car. My current Dashcam is over on the left hand side of the car. It's also important to ensure you're using the right SD card for your Dashcam. These days, Dashcams all use micro SD cards. These are the smaller, tiny SD cards. They're just a few millimeters long and wide. While they come in all shapes, sizes and capacities, if your dashcam is using a larger card, that probably suggests it's an older dashcam, and an older dashcam is going to be less power efficient, it's going to have fewer features, probably no GPS, and most importantly, low resolution. So stick to the most modern dashcams where you can. A micro SD card should be at least 64 gigabytes capacity. You should also pay attention to the card's rating, as different SD cards are suitable for specific purposes. Slower cards, which are class 4 or class 6, are ideal for still or images in high quality. Class 10 cards, however, are perfect for storing HD video, which you would expect your dashcam to be recording. Before setting out with the dashcam fitted and powered up, it's important to configure the settings properly. While your dashcam is packed with features, you probably can't use them all at the same time. Via the settings screen, take the time to determine the type of video you want to record when driving. This will probably also let you choose the video resolution as well as duration. The maximum is usually 10 seconds. Note that these are event videos. Often dashcams simply record in a loop, but if you want events to be recorded, then they're usually stored in a separate folder and cannot be overwritten. If you want a longer record, then you can set the dashcam to record in time-lapse mode. Of course, these aren't the only settings that can be configured. Other relevant information, such as your car registration, the current date, and GPS information might also be included where available. Now here's one that is often overlooked. You need to keep your windscreen clean. We all know that it is a basic of car maintenance, but the position of the dashcam can change things considerably. While you thought your windshield was clean, it might turn out the way your dashcam is positioned isn't so clean. So although the dashcam will be focused on the road, if the windshield is dirty, it could cause blurriness or obstructions in the actual recorded footage. I mean, this is part and parcel of determining exactly where to place it, but if you step outside and take a look at your car now, you'll probably notice that where the windscreen wipers clean the windshield, there are areas that they don't touch. Positioning your dashcam in these uncleaned areas is not a smart idea. Keep it in a position that is out of your direct line of sight and where it can be guaranteed to be looking through a clean windshield. So it's basically about sensible placement of the dashcam, and it's obviously important to clean your windshield regularly, particularly if you don't have the option of keeping it in an area that's covered by your wiper blades. If available, use the G sensor feature to auto-save incidents. Gyroscopic sensors enable incidents to be automatically recorded to the dashcam storage, and this allows you to automatically save footage of accidents and other incidents. While some dashcams come with a remote button that you might attach to your ignition key, it's better to have an automated option that will just record when something important happens. As noted earlier, this type of thing is recorded in a separate folder that cannot be overwritten in the normal looped recording of dashcam activity. I mentioned earlier that there are different options for powering a dashcam. You can use the cigarette lighter socket, you can hardwire the dashcam to the car battery, but that only works in certain cases with certain models of car and with compatible regulators. You might also use a portable USB battery. There was a time when you would get the best option from the car battery, but going forward, I feel that small onboard batteries that keep the dashcam powered for when the car is parked, I think they are the best option. Another thing you should always do with your dashcam is regularly check your recordings. I set a weekly schedule so I can review what's happened on my dashcam during journeys and when the car has been parked. And it's vital to regularly check this. There's more to this than just, I'm going to have a look at this. Car battery issues can reset the dashcam setup, so you need to check that everything's optimum for the SD card. You might prefer a time-lapse rather than the 5-minute loop as well. Most importantly, you need to check the dashcam regularly to ensure that it is actually recording. It's also wise to reformat the micro SD card, say once a month as well. Well, while reviewing events on your dashcam storage can be a bit time consuming, you can always play back at a faster speed. The idea really is to ensure there's nothing that you've missed and to ensure that the setup is correct and appropriate for your requirements. If it's not, then you have an opportunity to tweak things and know how you need them to be tweaked based on the footage that you've reviewed. Over the years, I've used dash cams from Vantrue, Z-Edge, ZenFox, and Vava. I've also used mobile phones as dash cams. I've used a Raspberry Pi as a time-lapse dash cam, and I would find it very difficult to settle on a particular model from a particular manufacturer that I liked the most. However, if you're interested to know which one I'm using at the moment, then it is a 4K UHD dash cam from Vava. It's been mounted in my car for around 12 months now. I'm very happy with the way it records. It only records out of the front, has a very wide field of view, and it sends the recorded video from the microSD card to my mobile phone via an app in a small ad hoc Wi-Fi network whenever the car is, wherever the ignition is powered and there is power from the battery going to the dashcam. The Wi-Fi network is there. Obviously, I'm not going to be driving when I check the footage, and there is a microSD card that I can remove from the dashcam. So that would be my recommendation. It's small, it's compact, it does the job perfectly, and you have the option of a mobile app that you can check the footage with and also check where you've been. There's GPS compatibility there as well. You may find that different dashcam does the job for you. Don't forget to check our show notes and refer to everything that we've discussed this week. And I'm certain that you will come away with this with a new appreciation for dashcams. Whether you have one or not, you might be thinking about buying a new one after hearing this show. I would say everyone needs to have a dashcam. Now, you'll notice I didn't get into the issues of insurance. Some insurers will insist on dashcam, others won't, but in my experience, none of them give you a discount for having a dashcam. Certainly nothing more significant than a couple of pounds or a couple of dollars a year. So I think that element of dashcams has been overstated and is possibly down to the marketing departments of various dashcam manufacturers. That aside, I think it's important to have a dashcam, whatever vehicle you're using, bike, car, truck, camper, people carrier, whatever you're using. So take the moment to line up your options, pick the right one, take your time installing it, configuring it, and getting it to its optimum for your purposes. Drive safely. We'll be back with another really useful podcast soon. Until then, it's goodbye.